Hi everyone, welcome to SportsKhabri's Blood, Sweat and Beer. This is our first podcast which is related to FPL. Here we'll be talking about everything related to Fantasy Premier League. We have Rahul here with us, Rahul Saha and Ali Qazi. Rahul is a sports correspondent with SportsKhabri. He works on the tactical aspects of football and he's a football aficionado. We have Ali Qazi with us. He's a stats freak. He knows everything related to FPL, and if there's anything you want to know about FPL, he's the guy to go to. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the first ever edition of Blood, Sweat, and Beers.
Hey Shwetaabh, it's great to
Thank
be
you.
here.
So, are you guys excited about the new season starting? We just have 5 days more to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Ready to go.
really, I've been waiting for it to start for so long. It's been a while, almost 2.5 months. So yeah, let's go.
I know. This is the worst period of all the football fans' lives. When the season ends in May or फिर August तक May के last game day के बाद, game day 38 के बाद, everyone is waiting for August to hit so that the football season starts. And finally, it's happening, guys. And I hope you guys have made your fantasy Premier League teams.
Yes. Yes, we have.
Yeah, I've had a few drafts, but yeah, I'm still not pinned on one specific draft to go with yet.
हाँ, but you still have 5 days to go, Rahul. I think Friday तक आप final कर सकते हो.
Yeah, hope so.
So guys, what do you think इस साल का fantasy Premier League कैसा होने वाला है? And obviously fantasy Premier League is directly related with the Premier League. जैसे जैसे सीजन चलता है वही रिफ्लेक्ट करता है फैंटेसी लीग पे. बट व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक, इज इट रियली ट्रू जैसा प्रीमियर लीग चल रहा है वैसा ही आपका फैंटेसी प्रीमियर लीग का टीम चले? इज इट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट या ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है? व्हाट डू यू थिंक, अली?
I don't think so because the Premier League is about different teams on its own. Rather, in the FPL team, we have individuals of all over the teams. So it depends on the individual's performance more than it depends on the team's performance. So personally, I think choosing proper individuals is more important.
ट्रू. राहुल, व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
Well, I think it depends on the circumstances if you look at it. I think before the pandemic started, FPL used to be a very different thing. Then the 2 years in between changed a lot of things. And now again this season, if you look at it, we have for the first time ever we have a December World Cup. So they're going to play a huge role into it. How the season will be split up, and how different managers will take up different approaches. How some will be proactive. How some who used to be dwindle around nicely with their teams. So they have to put that on the back and be proactive with the team. So yeah, I think this season will be a bit more different.
हम्म. और इस साल के व्हाट डू यू थिंक इस ईयर का ट्रेंड क्या होने वाला है? क्या किस टीम के प्लेयर्स को ज्यादा फेवर होगा, न्यू अराइवल्स को ज्यादा फेवर होगा, या जो पिछले 4-5 साल के फैंटेसी प्रीमियर लीग के जो फेवरेट प्लेयर्स रहे, लाइक केविन डे ब्रून, ही इज बीन परफॉर्मिंग कंसिस्टेंटली. यू नो बहुत सारे, बर्नार्डो सिल्वा कंसिस्टेंट रहा है. पिछले साल वी सॉ साका. साका वाज एन इमर्जिंग टैलेंट लास्ट ईयर. व्हाट डू यू थिंक द ट्रेंड इज गोइंग टू बी इस साल? हम नए फेवरेट्स, नए अराइवल्स पे जाएंगे, या पीपल आर गोइंग टू गो मोर फॉर द कंसिस्टेंट प्लेयर्स ऑफ द पास्ट 5 years?
I think personally the core is going to be the same as what it used to be in last 2 or 3 years, because in defense people will favor some personals like Trent, Cancelo, or maybe Robertson, and then comes to midfield as you named De Bruyne, and then Salah, and people like this, and even Saka is going to be very much in different teams, and then the favorite striker is Harry Kane still. I do think that. So the core is going to be the same, and 4 or 5 players are going to be the same. Will give the most points, but the new
Hmm.
signings will have an impact. Will have a huge impact, especially someone like Haaland. We have something
Hmm.
he can give
Hmm.
some shot to the seasons of PL. So it's going to be something very interesting.
Rahul, what do you think?
I think this season has done one thing, that is that they have underpriced the defender by I think point 0.5 or 1 mil at least. I think well, like most of the defenders, and like they have overpriced the mid-priced midfielders. So
The
what that has
midfielders, that's
done
true.
is
I
that
agree.
yeah, the mid price, like the ones the ones like Saka, Mount, Madison, like they could have been, you can say like a point, at least a point 0.5 cheaper in my opinion. So when
Hmm.
such thing happened, so what it has done is that it has created two separate templates for the manager to go with.
Hmm.
That is a 2 or a 3 Now the thing is that which one do you go with? Now both has its pros and cons, but I think a 3 for a season like this can, work out for you at least for the first seven, at least for the till the first game week. But I think it is not sustainable for the long run. So yeah, so I think post the first game week, I think we'll have a better picture how the I think this year's game will unfold. Till then, I
Okay.
think it will be a scrap between a 3 and a 2
Hmm. So we'll just move on to the teams that you guys have made this year. But before that, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask you. Who do you think we are going to miss this year? Even though Premier League hasn't seen a lot of big exits this season, except for probably the first name that comes in your mind is Mane. You know, Mane has left for Bayern Munich. बट उसके अलावा ज्यादा एग्जिट्स हुए नहीं है. देयर हैव बीन ट्रांसफर्स बिटवीन टीम्स लाइक स्टर्लिंग हैज गॉन टू चेल्सी, Jesus, Gabriel Jesus has gone to Arsenal, you know. But league छोड़ के बहुत कम लोग गए. But do you think there are going to be players which we are going to miss this season?
Rafinha is one, in my opinion. Like I'll miss him like for the last 2 seasons. Like he's been great for me.
अच्छा, yeah. Ali?
Yeah, I do also think the same. Rafinha had an impact because he was one of the cheaper options in the midfield who gave lots of points. So he's the only player that comes to mind will be missed because Mane was not pretty much picked by lots of people because of
Hmm.
apparently Salah and all, and Son and all the kind of performances they gave. So
Yeah.
Rafinha is one.
And who do you think has been very consistent the past few seasons, but we should avoid them this year? It could be any reason. Maybe they're overpriced this year, या decline देखना हमने शुरू कर दिया था. कोई ऐसा नाम आपको आ रहा है जिसको हमें avoid करना चाहिए? A big name or someone who's been consistent?
I think at least for the start of the season, I would like to, at least hold back on the Chelsea defenders and Chelsea fullbacks. And people are like fully hyping them up but I think they've played 4 or 5 preseason games so far, and they've not kept a single clean sheet. So like that doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. So like I would like to at least hold out till game week 2 to 3 to see how it pans out with uh, those guys. And yeah, other than that, I think Luis Diaz, he's also on the hype train, but based on the preseason, I think his play has been a bit aggressive and a bit rash, in my opinion. So, and if you look at in terms of FPL perspective, I think Luis Diaz can also be an avoid in my opinion. And in place of Diaz, you can either go with even a Darwin Nunes or a uh, Robertson, who at 7 millions, in my opinion, can easily outscore Luis Diaz throughout the course of this season. So yeah,
Ali?
these two.
I think we will have to wait 2 or 3 game weeks, but initially, I think we should refrain from adding new signings like Haaland or Darwin Nunez. Personally, I think that because the kind of preseason I've seen, especially in Man City, I am not very much confirmed in myself that Pep is going to play Haaland regularly initially. So that is
Okay.
the case. And then David Nunez has been underperforming, I would say, apart from one match. So he's not their first choice still. So these two players, I think, will
But
have
he,
to wait and what happens with them. Because I think Pep
yeah,
is
and
again going to start with false nine.
that's absolutely true. You never know what Pep Guardiola does. And even up जो
Yeah.
Nunes का mention कर रहे हो, even the goal that he took in the Community Shield, maybe that's a personal bias, but that fell into his lap. You know, Nunes ने जो goal
Yeah,
मारा था,
before,
it's not like
before
he
that he missed two
that.
open headers, so he's not up to
Yeah, he
the
missed an
mark.
open header also. Yeah, yeah. But
However,
एक
yeah,
चीज मुझे
but
आपसे पूछनी है, आप दोनों
it
ने
would be
sorry,
yeah, go on.
yeah, Rahul. No, no, please go on,
Yeah, I
Rahul.
was
Yeah,
just saying,
obviously.
yeah, I was just adding that it would be unwise to, just look past Haaland just yet because even though he missed a few sitters and he might be a rotation risk, but I would argue against it simply because I think till at least till game week 6, City or any other top 6 team don't play more than one game a week. So I think rotation would be an issue in that regard. And City, I think, have the perfect set of fixtures in that run to bed in someone like Erling Haaland easily rather than to put him against similarly like a Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Spurs in the league. So based on that, I think Haaland will get the nod most of the times, and you also have to see that although he has missed a few chances against Liverpool in the Community Shield, he had an XG of 1.8 goals per 90 in that match. If
Hmm.
City are producing that amount of chances for him against Liverpool, you can't wonder like what he will do against the lower ranked teams like Southampton, Forest, and all those sides who they face in their first set of fixtures. Like if I just simply look at it, they face West Ham, followed by Bournemouth, Newcastle, Palace, Forest, Villa. So these are their first 6 games. I think so. Yeah, I think you should take a punt on Haaland over that stretch of games.
That's very interesting actually. But you guys mentioned a couple of things. जिससे मुझे I just had this question that you guys talked about new arrivals a lot, Haaland, Nunez, and so many players. And then you're talking about Firmino कि कैसे Diaz के ऊपर हमें Firmino को शायद prefer करना चाहिए. But अभी जो transfer activity चल रही है और जो बातें हो रही हैं, what we saw in pre-season, maybe Firmino won't even play, you know. And
Yeah, I think yeah,
pre-season के
he's linked with Juve.
pre-season एग्जैक्टली तो प्री सीजन के हिसाब से वट एवर यू सीन इन प्री सीजन उसके हिसाब से व्हाट डू यू थिंक कौन इस बार लाइकली स्टार्टर्स हैं जो अभी शुरुआत में स्टार्ट करेंगे एंड लुकिंग फ्रॉम द प्रीवियस ईयर्स लाइक व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट हालैंड आई एम रियली रिमाइंडेड अबाउट लुकाकू बिकॉज लुकाकू जब लास्ट ईयर आया he had performed so well in Inter. He had won the Scudetto, and he came back and his preseason, he didn't get a proper preseason. Like Haaland hasn't gotten a proper preseason. He's played one game in the tour, I think, and one community shield. और लुकाकू के साथ भी वही हुआ था and everyone thought that he's going to hit the ground running and things are going to happen, but that didn't really happen. तो वो न्यू अराइवल्स का स्टिग्मा और प्री सीजन के फॉर्म के बारे में व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक?
Yeah, Ali, would you like to take the lead or I should go?
I don't think Haaland will do a Lukaku personally,
Hmm.
but it is just a matter of the concern is will he be able to fit into the style of how Pep wants City to play? That's the condition. That's what I think he's not ready yet, as what I've seen in the matches. So I do feel
Hmm.
that Pep might not play him regularly because the way he has been the usually in Pep's teams their front three amongst their front three the striker is their main part what I've seen regularly and Haaland although he had chances but he was not involved in the game a lot so they started playing better when Julian Alvarez came he was linking up the play he was everywhere so I do personally think he might get dropped or he might get some less minutes this time and he will score goals that's for sure because in City everyone can score goal and he
That's
is a
true.
good
That's
player.
absolutely true. Yeah. Rahul, what do you think?
Yeah, like my point is simply the same thing. Is that like they have the set of fixtures to build up his fitness for those Champions League games, and for those bigger fixtures when they face United in game week 12, or say Arsenal in game week 9, or Liverpool in game week 15. So they will need a fit Haaland for that stage, and like
Spurs in game week
yeah,
7.
yes, yeah, yeah. So as I said, so for those games you need him fit. And this is why I'm saying like this also like goes same for like someone like Ivan Perisic at Spurs. So like both
Hmm.
are same cases. Like they haven't had the ideal preseason that they would have wanted, but uh, both teams have the set of fixtures in front of them, and they don't have a League Cup fixture or any other cup games till game week 6. So yeah, I think this is the time the manager, and plus they have pipes up. So it is not like Pep has to play Haaland a full 90. Haaland can easily play 60, 65 minutes, get you a goal or two, and then easily Julian Alvarez can take his place. So yeah, so I think based on that thing, I think because of that, Haaland will start more games because yeah, I don't think he will get better set of fixtures than Bournemouth, Newcastle, Palace, Forest, and Villa to build up his fitness and get him ready for the
Yeah.
Champions League games.
Yeah, that's true. So, and what do you guys think? Who's going to be the surprise package from for the beginning, at least? Because you guys have really been following the pre-season. You guys have been following the new arrivals, their careers in the different leagues, or even from if they're coming from the championship or from other places. Who do you think are the surprise packages that people should go for? Definitely
In terms of players or teams,
players like
players, yeah.
yeah for the FPL.
I think in terms of budget options, yeah, I think universal accepted that Pedro Neto is the best 5.5 budget enabler in the midfield. So you have to go with him because Wolves have had a good preseason. Bruno Lage adopted his proposed 4-3-3 formation, and they look good in it. Like they were
Hmm.
defensively solid, and yeah, and they look really fluid in front. But uh, I think Jimenez's injury has put off me a bit because I think he was dropping deep, allowing both Podence and Neto to take up the false nine roles with along with Jimenez, and they and on all three of them interchanging. So by not having by having Jimenez ruled out for the start of the season, I think that might hamper that thing a bit. So Pedro Neto has put me off a little. Apart from them, Martinelli is a great pick at 6.5. I think you have to go for him, even ahead of a Bukayo Saka, in my opinion. And I think there was a lot of debate regarding that who's on pens at Arsenal. I think uh, it depends on who wins. I think, but I think Martinelli and Saka both are close out for it. So yeah, I think you should go with Martinelli at 6. And in defense, I think both Zinchenko and Kyle Walker are great shots because Arsenal have a great run of fixtures, and City. And in my opinion, at 5 million, you're getting into a City defense, and that's the best defense in the league. And if you look at their fixtures, out of their first 8 fixtures, they can easily get, I think, 5 to 6 clean sheets. So at 5 million, you're getting 5 to clean sheets or one or two attacking contributions. So I think these are the must-haves for me, at least for the first phase of the season.
Ali?
For me, I think in striker, I think Gabriel Jesus is going to surprise us. What I've seen in preseason and the kind of attitude he's playing with, I think he's going to score a lot of goals, and he may even get close and maybe above 15 goals in the season. So I think he is the right pick. And in midfield, I personally think Wilfred Zaha, because this time around, if he stays at Palace, that's the question. But this time around, he's got few fantastic forward players to link up with in Eberechi Eze and Michael Olise and even Malcolm Abiovi. So I think he can surprise for 7.0. He would be good. For defense, personally, Dallo is the go-to man, cheaper option. We don't at Manchester United we don't have any right back who will play. So as of now, Dallo at 4.5 is going to
Yeah.
do a lot. That's it.
But listening to you guys, it feels that you guys are more preferred towards. Yes, Rahul.
Yeah, just on Zaha, I would just like to add one thing. Like Ali, like, would you really want to go with Zaha if you have fixtures like Arsenal, followed by Liverpool, uh, Villa, City, Brentford, Newcastle, Manchester United, Brighton, and Chelsea for the first 9 games?
No, no, I was taking the season as a whole in the context. So not
Yeah,
initially for Zaha.
no, but still, like that's some scary
Yeah,
fixture
yeah,
run.
that is. But he will produce. I feel like he'll produce.
I think Leandro Trossard at 6.5 might be a really great pick. So, like, I think Shweta, in my draft that I've sent you, I think I have Marcus Rashford at 6.5. But I think by the time we approach the game week 1 deadline, I might swap him for Leandro Trossard. I think this could be his year in my opinion, because and I think Brighton have suffered mostly because they haven't had a striker who could get hit the ball at the back of the net. And I think, like,
Hmm.
if you look at the preseason, at least, like, Welbeck, we know Danny Welbeck can play and he can produce great performances, but only in certain periods. Like,
Patches.
he can play for six,
Yeah,
yeah, like 6 to 8
yeah,
games or 10 games or that. So at the
yeah.
moment he's hot. So Danny
Hmm.
Welbeck is hot, and like everything, and like I've watched 2 to 3 full games of Brighton in the preseason, and what I've understood that you can say basically 70% or 80% everything flows through Leandro Trossard, and I think even in the recent match against Espanyol, he got a hat trick and also 1 or 2 assists. So, like, he was basically involved in everything. They won 5-1. So yeah,
Hmm.
and now they also have a clinical striker in Dennis Undav, who's at 5.5 million.
Hmm.
Although he won't start initially, but I think he's a finisher who, by the end of the season, can easily rack up, by 10 to 12 goals. And if he racks up
Hmm.
10 to 12 goals, I think Leandro Trossard at 6.5 million would really benefit from it. So he's one player you can really keep an eye on. And even I myself, put him in instead of Rashford, by the time game week 1 starts.
Okay, I'm sure our listeners will be keeping a track of that. So, Rahul, I have a specific question for you. You seem to be our fixture expert here. You have all the fixtures lined up, and you know what is going to happen. So, what do you suggest? पहले 2-3 गेम वीक्स में किस टीम के प्लेयर्स को हमारा या forget the first 2-3 गेम वीक्स. Let's talk about game week 1. किन टीम के प्लेयर्स को तुम्हें लगता है ट्रेंड ज्यादा वो फॉलो करेगा जो लोग उनको ज्यादा चूज करेंगे. Which team should we
I think
favor basically?
I think Spurs, Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. I think you have to go with these 4 teams at least. If you are just setting your team up for the first game week, oh sorry,
Hmm.
if you're just setting up your the first game week, I think, yeah, you can avoid Arsenal because they are away to Palace and it is a Friday night. You never know what can happen. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think just for the game week 1, Spurs, Liverpool, and yeah, City are the go-to teams. You can bet on Chelsea as well, but then again, if you are betting on Chelsea, they have Spurs next, followed by Leeds away, and then Leicester. So yeah, in terms of clean sheets, I'm not sure there, and they are also not firing on all cylinders in front of goal.
Okay.
I'm a bit iffy on Chelsea. So yeah, Man City, Spurs, and Liverpool. You should go with that.
Okay. Ali, how long have you been playing FPL for?
This is my third season.
So
Not too bad.
considering you've been so no, but considering that you've been the part of this for the past 3 years, what do you think the previous year trends have been, which you think will be followed this year in terms of creating your team, in terms of the rotations, in terms of how you set different teams for different weeks. तुम्हें क्या लगता है कि इस साल for certain reasons or different circumstances उस टाइप से लोगों को ज्यादा alert रहना पड़ेगा? People should be more alert about what is happening, how they should make the clever changes at the right time. Do you think that's going to be a factor this year?
Yeah, it is going to be a factor because of the World Cup issue. So
Hmm.
at least till November, we'll have the same trend following because most of the teams have one game in a week since till the first 5 6 game weeks. So post that, we have to consider these things in the mind. So it is going to be pretty difficult even for us to make the team make a consistent team. So we don't have to make lots of
Hmm.
changes come after the World Cup. So yeah, it is going to be difficult in the latter stages of the season.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very different season because this is the first time a World Cup is happening mid-season in December, and there's going to be a long break. You never know who's going to come back in what shape, कौन injured है, कौन same form पे आता है. So yes,
Mhm.
it's going to be different. Rahul, how big a factor do you think that's going to be?
I think if you look at the fixture list as a whole, I think you can easily divide it into four segments of 9 games each. So if you do that, you can take it as four sprints, and you can plan your fixtures and your transfers in that way. Like you can say, before the game week one, this is a in a way this is a wild card because you're getting unlimited to transfers to set up your team for game week one, right? So you can
Yeah.
imagine it as a wild card. Then uh, after game week eight, maybe most people will like to use their wild card. So you are getting a time to you are resetting your team again. So after 8 games, then after game week six, there's the World Cup break for 6 weeks, and you are again getting unlimited transfers there. So that's again practically a wild card. And then following that, I think you don't have a. I think the next international break is game week 18 then. So practically, in game weeks at the end of game week 16, for the start of game week 17, you're practically setting up your team for 10 to 12 games, where you would ideally want to have your team set up at least till game week 27 or 28, so that you can use your second wildcard then to set up your teams for the blanks and double blank game weeks that are due to be there. I think game week yeah, I think game week 25 will have a blank because of the EFL Cup final, which usually takes place in Feb. So that is a thing there. At 10, 28 or 29 will have a blank. So that is a great time to use your second wild card, followed by either you use your triple captainships or your bench boost, whatever you like. So yeah, I think for those guys who are methodical, who like to, who have set their team, then they plan their transfers, like they will have a transfer in game week three, like then again by game week five, and those. I think so. Those people might face a bit of an issue with this season, but those who like to, jump the gun early, not afraid to take risk and not afraid to take transfer hits on the minus fours, I think they are, in familiar territory, and like they have a bit of an advantage from the start in my opinion due to just that, because since this season is nicely split up into four segments in my opinion.
Okay. That's actually very methodical way of looking at it. And okay, so one last question before we move on to our teams. One transfer which still hasn't happened, but you guys are hoping for that to happen so that और वो player उस हमारी टीम में certain रहेगा. Please, anyone who wants to start, Ali, Rahul. मैं अपना बता देता हूँ पहले. I hope Frankie the Jong happens because he's going to be in my team for sure.
He won't
But
be
if
in
it
my
comes,
team if it happens, but at the end he'll increase the productivity of our attack for sure.
Hmm.
So we can fancy having Bruno again in the team for 10 million.
Hmm.
So that might be a factor when Frankie comes
So
in.
who's so which one is your transfer? One transfer you're really hoping happens, जो पक्का FPL team में होना चाहिए.
I think I still don't have anything like Mark Cucurella to Chelsea is close, but I think if he moves to Man City, that might be a better thing for us FPL players because if he moves to Chelsea, then there is a rotation risk between both Chilwell and him. However, if you, I think, look at Man City, if Kukurea moves there, then I think he takes the left back slot easily because just as Ali was alluding at the start of the show that City are, looking to, play differently just because of Haaland. So just because of that, they are looking to bring in a Kukurea, in my opinion, because unlike previous seasons, Pep won't be inverted his fullbacks. This time his fullbacks will be hugging the byline instead and whipping in crosses for Haaland and co. So I think just because of that, if Kukura moves to Man City, then this that is one player at 5 million that I will really pin all my hopes on. So, but if he moves to Chelsea, I will like to distance myself away from him because I think Chilwell and his minutes will be heavily rotated there.
Okay. So guys, let's move on to the teams that you guys have selected. And I know कि आप लोग बहुत ही ऐसे teams are a very private thing. But being our experts here, I think our listeners would want to know what our experts have been choosing for game week 1. So we'll start with you, Ali. I actually, if you guys don't mind, let's move on like this. Like we'll first talk about the defense, then we talk about the midfield, then we talk about the forwards, then your substitutes. So let's start with the goalkeeper and the defense, Ali. Who are your goalkeeper and defenders for this week?
And goalkeeper is Diaz, and the four defenders in the starting lineup are Alexander Arnold, Cancelo, James, and Dallo, all four fullbacks. And the final
Okay,
fifth substitute defender is also a fullback in Nico Williams.
all right.
So
So what has been your your reasons for taking four fullbacks, and is this part of your overall tactics?
yeah, it is. First of all, these four players, specifically in them, are going to be a constant starter throughout the season for their respective teams. And then secondly, fullback, these at for sure in Alexander Arnold and Cancelo, they give a lot of points in attacks also, and their team give the most clean sheets in the defense. So they are the two best defensive teams in the Premier League. So that's these two are obvious picks. I think more than 70% of the people are going to pick these two players. And then James, I'm still confused if I should keep James or not, but my gut feeling says he will perform because again he contributes to the attack, but the confusion is created because of the lack of defensive adapt abilities in the Chelsea's team. So then again, I've told how Dallo is going to impress. I'm pretty sure about that.
But are you sure about having the Gia as a goalkeeper after last season's defensive problems with Manchester United?
Yes, I'm 100% sure that United's defense is going to be much better. We have
All
seen
right,
that
let's
in
hope
recent.
so.
100% sure because the personnels we have and
Yeah.
the kind of gameplay forwards are doing and the kind of work rate they have to maintain the shape, that is helping a lot. So
Let's
I'm
hope
pretty
so.
much
Let's hope your words sound true. Rahul, who are your goalkeepers and defenders?
Yeah, so my goalkeeper is Aaron Ramsdale. In my opinion, Arsenal have one of the top three like best fixture running for the first 1 to 8 game week. So I am backing Arsenal's goalkeeper for that since both Cities and Liverpool's goalkeeper are half a million expensive, and on the other hand, I don't really like any of the 4.5 million options with the fixture run-ins. So yeah, the Ramsdale for the goalkeeper, and for the backline, I have a backline full of wingbacks and or you can say fullbacks. So I have Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, and Walker as my back four with Nico Williams in the bench.
That's
So
interesting.
as you can understand, yeah, you got to have Trent and Robertson. Like they are a
That I can
must-have.
see. I mean, that even
Cancelo is
Ali
a
has gone with.
must-have.
Yeah, that's true. Even Ali has gone with Alexander and Cancelo. And the difference between so you gone for Walker and Robertson, and Ali has gone for James and Dallo. And I have gone for something completely different. Actually, I have gone for three defenders in my team. I haven't picked four. I've taken three defenders, even though all three of them are also fullbacks. My goalkeeper is Saha, and my defenders are Ricky James, Malasia, and Alexander Arnold. My basically it's also part of my overall strategy. Like I am
Like
trying to be a little offensive
who are
minded
the
this season.
yeah who are your other two fullbacks? Oh sorry,
My other two defenders are Janssen and Guehi because I took them.
Jensen
Guehi
Guehi.
has been Guehi has been very consistent over the past couple of seasons, and Janssen only because of the price. Because I wanted to my balance my millions, and that's why I had to take Janssen. And I know I'm not going to be playing him. Probably when I go for the bench boost, I'll be changing him. But for now, I thought for game week one, I want to go with these three defenders. But Rahul, tell me something. You have picked two defenders from Liverpool and two defenders from City. Don't you think that's very risky?
Yeah, I think like yeah, the way teams are set uh, with most the templates like having James, Trent, one of Cancelo or Walker, or one of Trent and Robo. So I think the thing is that what people are missing is that even if let's say City don't keep a clean sheet against West Ham, but both their fullbacks have the capabilities to uh, give you attacking returns instead. And and there's a similar case with Liverpool. So so I think I had to like I think in FPL, see, I think this is what you call like upside chasing in FPL. So I think there are both like pros and cons, but I think the cons outweigh the cons in my opinion. The pros outweigh the cons in my opinion. At least for
For the
this
first
four
week,
players. So
especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the first weekend, I think at least for the first 6 games at least, I might my in my plan is that like I am waiting on Perisic, how he goes. I'll watch that for at least for the first 2 to 3 game weeks. So like if he really impresses me, I might switch a Walker for him. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's my like that's the only transfer that I have as of now. Other than that, I am fully satisfied with my team, to be honest.
Okay. So now that you're talking about your team, let's move to the midfielders and the forwards. Who are your midfielders and forwards, Rahul?
I think I have Salah, then Martinelli. Uh, I was, as I told you earlier, Rashford, and I have Pedro Neto.
Yes.
I'm using a 4-4-2, and in front I have Haaland and Gabriel Jesus. I think
And who's your
I and on the bench I have Danny Ward from Leicester because Kasper Michael is, the talks of him leaving Leicester. So
is
just
going
based
to
on that,
nice?
he
Yeah.
might not start 1 or 2 games. So just based on that,
Yeah.
I have put Danny Ward there in my bench, and I told you Nico Williams is there. Then I have Leon Bailey
Hmm.
from Aston Villa, and I think I have Planch from Crystal Palace. I initially had
Okay.
Sam Greenwood, but I think he has a 28 or 29% ownership. And as you know, with FPL and most of the casual players, after first 2 or 3 game weeks, when Greenwood doesn't perform, they will jump the gun on him. His price will drop, and then you're stuck. So I had to just put him away from my drafts and get plunge in so that I don't face a price drop. The
Okay.
same goes with an
And
Andres
Ali, who are your
Pereira,
forwards?
in my opinion,
And
because
I
of which I
think Ali
avoided
has
him.
gone for that. Ali, who are your forwards and midfielders?
My midfielders are Son, Sancho, Odegaard, and Bernardo. And forwards are Kane, Jesus in the first team. And in the bench, midfielder is Andres Pereira and Lyle Taylor of Nottingham Forest. So again, Son is going to carry on the form he had last season, pretty much. And the way Spurs
Hmm.
are playing in this season and the way they ended their season last time, so he's absolutely going to continue. And then the best pick for a striker for me is Harry Kane, obviously. So
Hmm.
he'll have the most points, I think. And then Gabriel Jesus, I told, and Sancho. This is going to be Sancho's season, pretty much. So yeah, let's see. I'm pretty confused if I should swap Odegaard for Martinelli. So,
Yeah,
but
if you
the
ask an Arsenal fan, you should drop Odegaard for Martinelli.
the reason I picked him because I don't see anyone else playing in Odegaard's position. So and he'll chip in assists. So
Like, if
I'm
you
confused.
take my opinion, I think Odegaard will play much deeper this season because of way how Arsenal is set up. Like, just initially for the first like 3 4 matches, we can have like Odegaard a bit further up the pitch just because he's playing alongside the Granit Xhaka. I think the moment we have a Lokonga fully 100% fit or Fabio Vieira 100% fit, I think I expect Odegaard to drop a bit deeper and either of them to take the forward role. I think just because I think they have that that half space turn and that half space crossing ability that I think an Odegaard lacks. Like Arsenal's were, I think the best way I can highlight is that like Arsenal were really good last season, but they were not really good on the counter attack or in the transition just because Odegaard lacks that bit. The the quick release of the ball, he lacks that. So because of that, like if you ask an Arsenal fan, I would have just told you to avoid him and go for Martinelli instead.
I have
Actually,
point five.
Rahul, funnily,
I
Yeah,
have
I
point
man.
was
five
going for
left.
Odegaard in my team. Sorry, Ali, what are you saying?
No, I have point five left in my budget, so I might go for Zaha after 6 or 7 game weeks.
Or you can
Okay.
even go with
I
Grealish. I think Grealish at 7 is a steal. But I wanted to, City fullback, so I didn't go with him instead.
Again, the same conundrum of Pep not playing his players every time, apart from Bernardo and De Bruyne.
Bernardo and
So
De Bruyne. That's true.
Yeah, like Bernardo is a face, but I think, but yeah, Grealish is a nailed, I think, in the left line because Foden hasn't really featured for them during the preseason, and I think if you look at City's preseason, I think Bernardo will, I think, more be a hybrid aid in the right side instead, and will be rotated with a Mahrez or will be a part of the midfield pivot along with Rodri since they're shifted to 4-2-3-1. So yeah,
yes,
one to
but
keep
Pep
an eye
gave
on.
me a lot. But Pep gave me a lot of shock last time around, so I'm not gonna risk it this time.
But I think these are the trends that we are going to see as the season progresses. Like abhi kya season hone wala hai, what strategy Pep comes up with, what strategy all the other teams come up with. I think abhi दो तीन game week को हमें लगेगा in just trying to understand what the trends are. So yeah, actually I also Rahul, I was just about to say that I was going for Odegaard in my team, but I dropped him out because I wanted to have Gabriel Jesus for sure. And I have gone for my midfielders are Jared Bowen from West Ham, Bruno Fernandes from United, Ward-Prowse from Southampton, Sancho from United, and then I have taken three forwards. So I'm playing with a 3-4-3, a completely offensive formation. Oli Watkins, Harry Kane, and Gabriel Jesus. and I have Murphy from Newcastle on my bench. So in fact, I agree with Ali. Like I also have this feeling that this is going to be Sancho's season based on the preseason that he's had, and I'm really sure that Sancho's really going to blast under Eric Ten Hag. Bruno Fernandes is a slightly sentimental option because of his past two seasons. Last season, I know that after the point when Ronaldo started, starting more matches, Fernandes fizzled down a bit, but I can't discount his quality. What he did 2 seasons back was completely phenomenal. And Ward-Prowse has just been Southampton's go-to man for the past 3-4 seasons, and his dead ball abilities are something which are already always delivering. Bowen last year was just completely phenomenal. So that is some person I had to go to. And Watkins and I actually one thing I'm just going to put our teams up here. I'll try to put them and share them here. One thing that I've observed from wait, let me see if I can put our teams here. No, these files are not. We can't share these files. Anyway, so yeah, I was saying one thing that I've observed is Rahul, your team consists of three City players, three Liverpool players, two Arsenal players. Sorry, three Arsenal players, one United player, and one Neto. Neto is from West Ham, right? Sorry, Wolves.
Wolves.
So one Wolves player. So your team consists of players from four teams, and that's it. Don't you think that's putting your eggs in like one basket?
But yeah, I will just like say that I've been playing FPL for the past like 5 to 6 years, I think, and like mostly over the last 3 to 4 seasons, this trend has really emerged because the disparity between the top performing teams and the teams in the lower half of the league has really stretched in over this past 3 to 4 seasons. It was not the
Hmm.
gap between the top of the league and the bottom of the league was not this big. Let's say when Leicester won the league, or the year after that when Chelsea won the league. So and so just because of that, if you look at the fixture runs and if you just match up each team against the players or like the players you have from each team, I think that justifies the risk to an extent. And I think you can also like, as I said, like since this season is easily split into nicely split into 4 sections, I think so the first sections allows you to triple up on certain teams and get away with it. Like this won't be happening after the first international break because the teams don't have such runs of fixture. I think Chelsea have a nice run from I think game week 10 to 16 or 17, and one or two teams have a run of 4 or 5 games. So yeah, post the first international break, you can't triple up or double up on assets from particular teams. But if you look at the fixture list of all the teams, you must, I think, you would be foolish if you are not, having teams from these three and also included Spurs, like these four teams. You must target these four teams for for the first 8 fixtures, in my opinion. So that's the rationale behind it.
Okay, thankfully I can see the your teams also here. So this is my team actually. I'll just go back to Rahul's team. Okay, this is yeah Rahul. Yeah, so this is your team. So this is for all our viewers who can see it. This is Rahul's team. And
And
Ali,
yeah,
your
and
team.
yeah, I would like to just add one more thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, Rahul, please.
I've done, yeah,
Yeah.
I have point 0.5 million in the bank, and I could have also saved point 0.5 million by having Andres Pereira instead of a Leon Bailey. However, my
Hmm.
rationale behind having Bailey is that like based on Villa's preseason, he looks a nail starter for Villa. And I think, and if you look at both Wolves and Villa's fixtures, I think they really rotate well. So you can interchange those two assets quite nicely depending on a particular fixtures. And I think by having this lot of players in this order, is it allows me to it allows me to be flexible and have at the time for and have at least three formations like a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2, or you can say like a 5-4-1, oh sorry, a 5-3-2. So it gives me
Hmm.
that flexibility with my team, like I'm not just stuck on those 11 teams like most template teams. So yeah, so this is the main rationale behind it.
That's true, actually. So, Ali, let's move on to your team. And this is your team here. So, yeah, tell me, you have two players from Tottenham, three from United, which of course I know why. Two from Arsenal, one from Liverpool, two from City, and one from Chelsea. Again, you are also very big six oriented, and you also have members from I think one, two, three, four, five teams here. What do you think about this? Like, what is your strategy here?
No, personally, I became big six oriented because of Gabriel Jesus. I had to include him.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would have had a different striker and altogether a better midfielder in that place. So used
Hmm.
up that those budget. So it's just what I think. Initially, the kind of game weeks we have, these players are going to perform. Again, I'm still confused between James and Odegaard. I might substitute them.
Hmm.
I don't see other players going up. I wish to have had Bowen in the team, but I couldn't.
Hmm.
So because after the signing of Lucas Kamaka, I think
Hmm.
Bowen will have a better impact. I do feel because I've seen this Kamaka in Serie A for Sassuolo, and his presence helped their wingers a lot, specifically Berardi in that team.
Hmm.
So Bowen is going to get a lot of benefit from him. So he might be the shout for the other player apart from the big six. And again, Zaha after those 6-7 game weeks. So for the time being, for the word go, I'm going with this.
Hmm. Okay, but this thing of again, I'm asking you the same question I asked Rahul. Like this trend of having team players from four teams, five teams. Do you think this can like come back to you, or is it not more advantageous to have people like players from more teams?
I again the same kind of answer. It has more pros than cons because these teams are going probably they have a higher chance of giving better performances than giving a
Yeah.
poor performance. So that's pretty much a favorable gamble, I would say. So I don't think it's a risk. So I've been doing this.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Last,
we'll see that
last, last
in game week one.
in last season I tried to have players from different teams, and usually I didn't have three players from the same team, but it didn't turn out well for me somehow.
Ali, I would just like to quickly ask you one thing, like who will you give the armband to for game week 2? I think Spurs play Chelsea in game week 2, and I think you have doubled up on both Harry Kane and Son. So like, who would you give the armband to for the game week, or
Just
you're going to pin your hopes on them?
I think
Because
in my
Haaland against Bournemouth and Salah against Crystal Palace are both great shouts, and you will be outnumbered in for those players at least for game week 2 and onwards.
I'll go with Kane for now in the game week 2 as well. I don't see Chelsea not conceding goals, and I don't see
Yeah,
Kane
exactly.
missing out
Hmm.
with goals. That's the case. So Crystal Palace right now have better defense than what Chelsea have. So, and the kind of transfers they are proceeding with, it's not still sure that they will be able to sign defenders by then, by the first game week or so. and it's not still sure if they'll get the defenders which they want, their managers want. So I do think Kane is going to score, and Spurs are a much better team now than they were in 7 or 8 months ago. So,
Yeah,
and they
truly
are
agree.
much better because of Kane and Son. They are their backbone. So
Yeah, I actually I wanted to go for some variety in my team because I've also been playing for 3 4 years, and uh, for me the pros, like you guys said, the pros and cons bit, it's always come back to bite me. Like I've had more cons than pros, like putting my eggs in one basket, and obviously being a United fan, it's just been very putting in three United players has been really bad for me. So that's why I try to go for some kind of a variety. So I have one player from Chelsea, two from United, one from us, actually three from United, one from Southampton, two from Southampton, one from Liverpool, one from Arsenal, one from Tottenham, one from Aston Villa, and one from West Ham. And obviously, I also went back to the history of how these guys have been performing for the past 2 3 seasons, and that is why that is the rationale behind my this selecting this team. Do you guys think I should rethink this, or this is one strategy which can also be tried?
I think you can go against the grain. However, the one thing I would advise you is that the one thing you should be wary about is that since you have assets from almost like 8 or 9 clubs, so you should be wary that your assets rotate well. Like let's say if you have asset from Palace and like he's playing Liverpool this weekend, then if you
Hmm.
should have someone, let's say, and you have a Palace and you have an asset from Brighton and he plays let's say Leeds this week, so you can
Hmm.
rotate those assets nicely and it won't affect the balance and the point scoring ability of your team. So like if you are
Hmm.
opting for that strategy, so I think this is one thing you must be really wary about. Because if you are not if your assets are not rotating well, then it can put you in spot of bother. And by the way, like how the game weeks will start off initially, it can land you in a place where you might have to use your first wild card as early as game week 4 or 5, let's say.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay, I think, guys, we need to start wrapping up soon. It's been a very interesting and very fascinating conversation. And I think for the listeners also, the season is set, and you guys have given them a lot to think about regarding the teams and everything. One last quick question and a quick answer before we just wrap it up. What do you think is going to be the kind of start? Like you guys have gone for a 4-4-2, I've gone for a 3-5-2. What do you think is going to be the prevalent tactical strategy this year? Considering Premier League is becoming more of a pressing league, and all these new tactics that are coming up.
I think big at the back will be a thing this season because I think you didn't have this luxury at your disposal, let's say 2 or 3 years ago. Like if you
Yeah.
had a five at the back draft, so let's say in the 18-19 season, people would have laughed at you for having such a draft. Whereas like
Hmm.
this has become the go-to template for this season because simply because how football has evolved and how most the attacking teams play these days in the like mostly in the Premier League with the top six, and even with teams like Villa or a Newcastle or a Brighton and Hove Albion, who use their fullbacks or wingbacks higher up the pitch. So yeah, so I think yeah, I think this is because due to that I think a 4-4-2 and a 5-4-1, or you can say, or a 5-3-2. I think 5 and 4 in the back. This will be the most used templates for this season. This might change post the international break. However, I think for the first half of the season, this will be the template.
Great. Ali, any last words?
nothing. I agree with Rahul. I think defenders are going to chip in a lot starting of the season, and again because of the prices they've reduced for them. so it is easier for them to have in the team. So I think we'll go with this. So I
Yeah,
expected
let's say
Okay,
initially.
so
yeah,
guys,
let's say a Trent was 8.5 or a Cancelo was 8 million. You know, that would have put a lot of managers off. But that's
Yes.
not the case.
yeah,
So just because
yeah,
of that, just because the
that's
defenders
true.
are underpriced, so just because of that, this has become a thing that 5 and 4 in the back has been the go-to template, and I think this will stick out.
Yeah, before the prices came out, I thought that Cancelo would at least be 7.5 and Trent 8 or maybe
Yeah,
8.5.
same here.
But the prices are pretty much surprising. So I think defenders are going to chip in a lot. So again, 4-4-2, 4-4-2, or maybe 4-5-1 even sometimes are
Yeah,
going to help.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Rahul, for these fascinating insights. And guys, thank you so much for listening in. For your information, Sports Khabri is also running their own fantasy Premier League. The link is in the description box. You guys can please follow it, join our league, be a part of the session. Rahul and Ali will be here every week talking about this from next week onwards because the game week is starting. Next week, we'll also tell you the standings. We might get the leaders on our conversation. We would like to talk to them. We'll see what trends are going on. This is going to be a fascinating ride. The season is just starting. I'm supremely excited, and I can't wait for the season to start. And we'll see you guys next week to see where we stand in the standings. Also, please follow Sports Coverage social media accounts to stay up to date with this season's FPL and other news. The social media handles for Sports Khabri are there in the description box. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere for the latest updates. And we hope to see you next week with more such conversation.